What universe is Wolverine from Deadpool 3 going to originate from? Hugh Jackman's Wolverine return is one of the most eagerly awaited reprisals since Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield returned as their respective iterations of Spider-Man. With Deadpool in a comic-accurate yellow Wolverine suit in tow, Wolverine is set to play a critical part in Deadpool's third cinematic outing and his first in the MCU. But which universe is this version of Wolverine going to be from, and what are the ramifications of each possibility? Well, today, my friends, we've narrowed it down to no less than 4 distinct possibilities, each with their own set of consequences that could reshape what exactly we can see from Wolverine. It's important to note, though, that this will not be the version from the Fox timeline, as Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds have already confirmed that they are leaving Logan's death untouched. We also know that while the iconic yellow suit was teased, we never actually see this version don the yellow attire. And if they are truly committed to paying proper respects to this version of the character and leave him untouched, this won't be the same version even in the past before his death. So then, what other 4 universes could this Wolverine be coming from, if any? First, let's talk about the possibility that this Wolverine comes from Earth 838, as ties to Earth 838 have been rumored for quite some time for Deadpool 3. This, of course, is the universe in which Wanda Maximoff attacked the Illuminati, and on first glance, the general aesthetic of the world seems to match what we know from Wolverine's suit. The Illuminati are all in faithfully comic-accurate costumes, including most importantly this version of Professor Charles Xavier, complete with his iconic yellow hover chair and green suit. This version of Professor X seemed to be ripped straight from the 90s animated series, and it stands to reason that the rest of the X-Men would look comic-accurate as well. If this is the case, then not only are the X-Men dealing with the loss of their beloved Professor, but the most iconic and powerful team in the universe are now reeling from the losses of their respective leaders. The Avengers have lost their captain, the Inhumans have lost their king, and the leader of the Fantastic Four was ripped apart. Each of these teams will likely be in shambles depending on how soon after Wanda's attack, Deadpool's story takes place, and it might further darken an already moody character. Wolverine is not exactly known for being a kind character. He's often grumpy, keeping to himself, and generally wants to be left alone. If his version of Professor X has just died, however, then this might make him even more disagreeable, saddling Wade with the task of smoothing him over as their adventure continues. This might make for a much angrier version of the character than the one that we saw from the Fox timeline, and a Wolverine that could be motivated by revenge. If not Earth 838 though, then how about the possibility that this Wolverine comes from the Earth known as Earth X? The title of Earth X is a temporary designation that we've given to this reality, since it doesn't have an official number from Marvel yet, and we're talking about the universe we see at the end of the Marvels. After Monica Rambeau is caught on the other side of a rip in the multiverse, she finds herself in the care of the X-Men, and specifically of Binary and Beast. So, is it possible that this Wolverine is from this version of Earth? And furthermore, is there a possibility that if so, he might actually be tasked with fighting the Avengers in the near future? Let's explore what we mean by this. When we look at Beast, we see a few key details about his design that immediately stand out from others. The winged hairstyle, the bare chest beneath the lab coat, and the comic-accurate teeth all seem to suggest that this version and universe, much like Earth 838, is very faithful to the comic appearances of these characters. So far as we can tell, a Wolverine in this iconic yellow suit would fit right in with Earth X, though we have reason to believe that Earth X will play a much larger role in the multiverse going forward. First, it seems like this will be the host world for the group which will eventually become the mainline MCU X-Men, and the X-Men of the MCU will ultimately come from this reality, but it might be a bumpy road ahead in order to get there. If the X-Men need to make the leap to Earth 616, then it means that their home reality is no longer habitable, and it's possible that this might be the result of an incursion between 2 universes. If this is the case, then the Secret War storyline, which originally saw Earth 616 colliding with Earth 1610, might substitute Earth 1610 with Earth X in order to make this happen. This could also lead to an adaptation of Avengers vs. X-Men, and if the Wolverine that we see in Deadpool 3 is present, then he might be forced to take a side in the conflict. With Deadpool's interference, he might be displaced in time, or this version could die. leading to Wolverine of Earth 616 making his debut to be both recast and to take the place of this Wolverine. We already saw an Easter egg in She-Hulk depicting a man with claws that got into a bar fight, so it seems that some version of the character is present somewhere in the 616 main timeline, so this Wolverine might not be long for this world at all. The third of the 4 options and universes might be the longest shot of any possibility that we've discussed thus far, but it warrants mention nonetheless because it's a fascinating idea. Is it possible that this version of Wolverine is actually from the animated series, and that the animated universe is making a jump to live action? If so, it wouldn't be the first time that this has happened either. Most notably, of course, it happened with Captain Carter, who made her debut in animation and then made the jump to live action. We also know that Marvel is reviving the animated series for Disney Plus of the X-Men, and it turns out that there may be important reason for this. What's interesting about this is that the 90s had their own animated cinematic universe, and this is the same reality that the 90s Spider-Man also takes place in. The two have crossed over a couple of times in the shows, most notably in the Battleworld arc, which would cause some serious confusion in this universe if it is brought into the wider Marvel multiverse. If this is true, then it means that some of these characters have already been through the Secret Wars and Battleworld story, only to see it happen again in the next few years, which is a lot to unpack. We don't find this to be too terribly likely though as a scenario, but we felt like we should mention it. And of course, we have to discuss the option that this Wolverine is one that we have simply never seen before. This Wolverine might be a completely new variant from a new universe that has never been visited by anyone that we know of. And if this is the case, then what happens in this reality is endless. If Deadpool wants to showcase the consequences of multiversal tampering and wants to destroy an entire universe in order to do this, then this might be the perfect sandbox to annihilate. Anything can happen in this reality, which is the perfect playground for a character like Deadpool, where his consequences may not be as serious. Wherever this Wolverine comes from though, Jackman's return is on the near horizon, and Deadpool seems to be on the brink of making his jump into the MCU proper. This will allow the Merc with the Mouth to land in our favorite reality and possibly create a long-lasting relationship with the MCU. Wolverine, on the other hand, may find himself recast or rewritten in the near future, allowing Hugh Jackman to finally retire the role and pass the mantle to another actor to carry on the Wolverine part going forward. But anyway, my friends, where do you think this version of Wolverine is coming from? Do you think he's from any of the universes that we talked about in this video, or is he from a completely unknown reality? If so, what does this mean for the character moving forward, and the universe that Deadpool is set to visit with his 3rd film? As always, my friends, thank you so much for visiting the channel today. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and have a great one.